What's going on, Pete? What's up? What's up, Who Day? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on? Man, these YouTube streets on fire in the black sector today. Oh my God. I haven't seen this kind of activity in the black sector in a long time. So shout out to King Curl for bringing all this attention back to the black sector. But we got to talk about this. We got to really have a conversation. Now, let me explain how I came across this, first of all. I seen ZX had Vic name in his title, so I was curious about what they were talking about. So I clicked on the link, and they was talking about King Curl when I went over there. Now, I only got a minimal amount of details about this situation. So I listened to ZX and his panel for a minute. What's up, Grandma Love? I listened to ZX and his panel for a minute, trying to get the gist of what the conversation was about. And I did. And it seemed like it was about King Curl having some type of relationships when he was 16 or 17 years old with a female that was 13 years old. Now, this topic came up a few months back with another content creator. And I'm not going to call that person's name because I'm not going to involve that person in this conversation. But it was very similar to this exact situation. But the difference was this person, the other content creator, got the female pregnant. And the storyline went pretty much similar. Everybody went at him. They call him the P word and say he was wrong. And this is YouTube. That's the attention span of YouTubers are very limited. So the story went away. Everybody moved on from the story. So now here we are again talking about a similar story with King Curl and his, from my understanding, he ended up marrying the female. So it's his current wife. So I'm here to put my 2 cents into it. And I don't like talking about this subject. And the reason why I don't like talking about it, because people tried to label me with that P word. And I find it very disgusting when people try to throw that word on someone and they have no proof at all, or they don't know the situation. They don't really, they see what's on the surface, but they don't see what's underneath the surface. These stories are not black and white. So you have to really look deeper than just the surface. And I'm gonna try to shine a little light within the subject. I'm gonna tell y'all about a story that happened in Georgia back in the 90s. You know, with this guy by the name of Marcus Dixon. He was 18 years old, very intelligent black man, young man that is. Had a full ride to Vanderbilt on an athletic scholarship. This happened in Rome, Georgia. He was 18, the female was 15. And the female, what's up, Super? The female accused him of raping her. This young man had a lot to live for. To me, he had everything going in his way. Athlete, smart, going to Vanderbilt on a full ride. Full ride. And then all of a sudden, one day, his world came crashing down because the female accused him of raping her. Now, the young man went to trial, and the jury found that he didn't rape her. They had consensual sex. But with the Georgia state law, the way it was written at the time, they still had to charge him with aggravated child molestation because of the way the law was written. Even though it was consensual sex between an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, it still said that he was a pedophile under the current Georgia laws. Now, they changed that law. They changed that law to the point where, because it was a felony charge, and they was going to give him 15 years. Actually, he went to prison. He went to prison, but he appealed, and he won his appeal. But the damage was done, and Georgia went back and changed that law to the point where it stated that there was a 3-year difference when there was an adult having sex with a minor. It was a 3-year window. Basically, what it was, 18 years old, you're considered an adult. Basically. So what Georgia did to try to remedy that problem was they said, well, if you're 18 and you're within a 3-year window, we're going to charge you with statutory rape, but it's going to be a misdemeanor. So that's what Georgia did. They made it a misdemeanor charge, but still, if you're 18 and you have sex with someone who's a minor and there is violence and there's an injury, it's still a felony charge. So that's how Georgia remedied that problem. Because basically they seen where this young man was only 18 years old. He had sex with a 15-year-old, and that 15-year-old, it was consensual sex. So why are we sitting here sending this guy and making him a pedophile when there's a 3-year difference in age? He's a senior, she's a sophomore in high school. We're talking about high schoolers, teenagers. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it seemed like King Curl was in a similar situation, in a sense, where he was 16 or 17, I believe, and his girlfriend, the girl was 13, 14. I'm not sure exactly what the ages was. Like I said, because I didn't read the report and the details. I don't know what the age really was. So I'm kind of guessing here. But it seemed like it was like a 3 to 4 year age difference here. So people need to understand that we can't turn everybody into a pedophile, especially when you're talking about teenagers. We're talking about teenagers. We're not talking about adults. We're talking about teenagers. Teenagers. Well, Fools Paradise, honestly, was she 13 or was she 4? I don't even know her age, to be honest with you. So I don't know how old she was. But I'm guessing she was 13 or 14. And I think he said he was 16, going on 17. But also, since you bring that up, you do realize that there are some schools in this country that have 8th grade through 12th grade. But my whole point of saying what I'm saying is this right here. When you're talking about teenagers are going to do what teenagers do. We always was a teenager. We always was in high school. Do you see a difference between an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old, a 9th grader and a senior? I'm just saying, this is not something that's black and white. This is very complicated. These are complicated situations. We're not talking about people who are in their 20s. We're talking about people who are in high school together. Oh, he said she was 13. He was 17. That's what he said. Well, let me check on that, because I thought he said he was 16 going on 17. See, I go to the source. I'm not gonna believe if King Curl told me he was 17. All right, I said that. But like I said, I talk about what the person who's involved with is telling me, not people who just run around YouTube and just saying things. Well, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about the law. That's why I'm talking about this case in Georgia right now. That's why I'm talking about this Marcus Dixon case in Georgia right now, because it was a case where he was 18 and the female was 15. So I'm talking about law also. And you're right, Hude. 13 is young. It's very young. But I know what was going on when I was 13, when I was 14, when I was 15. I'm not gonna play dumb like I didn't see certain things when I was that age. I didn't see boys running around playing high and go see, high and go get when they was 13, 14, and females 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm not going to ignore that. I'm not going to ignore the fact that when I was in high school, I seen seniors who was 17, 18 messing with people who was 14. And somebody could have been 13. It all depends on what age you was when you were in high school. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to play naive to the fact that I wasn't 13, 12 years old at one point in time in my life. Because we're talking about teenagers. We're not talking about grown ass individuals in their 20s. So I'm not going to play dumb. If anybody who sits here and said that they was 13, 14, 15 years old and 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, and they didn't have these urges when they was 17, 18 to deal with somebody who was 14, 15 years old, come on, let's be real here. Let's keep it all the way real. Because we wasn't thinking about an age like that. We wasn't thinking about you. Only thing we saw was that person was a teenager and I'm a teenager. That's the only thing we saw. Teenagers. And when you got into high school, you didn't look and say, well, I'm 18 years old. That's a freshman. I'm a senior. I don't think I've seen too many people looking at things like that. Oh, I'm an 18. I'm a senior. She's a freshman. Let's keep it real here. Keep it all the way real. We were talking about teenagers. Not adults, teenagers. People who can most of them cannot even vote. And like I said, fools, I'm not arguing that point. I get where you're coming from, and you're right. But like I said, how many teenagers was thinking like their parents? Yes, the parents was there to be responsible for the teenagers, to make sure they wasn't doing teenagers things. That is true. I'm not arguing that point. But my point is, we are turning someone into a pedophile because he was 16, 17, and the girl was 13, 14. That's my point. That's my whole point. I'm not here trying to say that a 13-year-old isn't too young to have sex, because I believe a 13-year-old is too young to have sex. But we all know 13-year-old girls and 13-year-old boys are out there having sex. That's a fact. And they're not having sex with grown ass men. They're having sex with other teenagers. What's up, Wild Bill? They're having sex with other teenagers. That's my point. So you're telling me that a 17-year-old should be labeled a pedophile because he had sex with another teenager? Is that really fair to put him as a pedophile because he was a teenager having sex with a teenager? Come on, man. Let's be real. Y'all sit here and watch shows like To Catch a Predator. When you see these big grizzly grown ass men come into the room trying to have sex with a teenager. We've seen that happen. We've seen that play out on TV. Those are pedophiles. I'm not going to sit here and turn a 17-year-old boy into a pedophile because he had sex with another teenager. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. It'll be different if he actually raped her. He forced her. He took it. It'll be totally different. But you're talking about two consensual teenagers having sex. And y'all focus on the age, true enough, and I get that. But still, what you're saying is 13-year-olds don't have sex with other 13, 14, 15-year-olds. That's my point. We need to stop that. I watched ZX and his panel, and it's like no one wanted to admit the fact that they all was once teenagers and they all once done dumb things as teenagers. like I said, Marcus Dixon was a high school superstar in football. Good grades, going to Vanderbilt, and his whole life was turned upside down because he had sex with a 15-year-old and he was 18. And they wanted to label him a pedophile because of consensual sex with another teenager. That's how easy it is for the law to make you into a pedophile. When you didn't take anything, you just had consensual sex as a young man, a teenager, with another teenager. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about teenagers. Y'all acting like King Curl was in his 20s having sex with a teenager. And that wasn't the case. No, YouTube is a brutal place. YouTube is a place where it really is sickening sometimes. It is so sickening. It's like everybody forget when they was young. Everybody forget the mistakes that they made in their lives. Everybody forget those mistakes. I understand that. I understand y'all don't make the laws. I get that part. And that's why Georgia went back and changed the law in Georgia, because of they realized they made a mistake with their laws. So they went back and corrected that mistake because they knew they made a mistake. They knew it wasn't fair to that young man to put him in jail for 15 years for having consensual sex with another teenager who's on 3-year difference in age. They realized that, and they went back and changed the law because of that. It wasn't fair to him. But in these YouTube streets, though, if they had their way, that young man be doing 15 years in jail, and he'll be labeled a pedophile the rest of his life. If it was up to these YouTube streets. See, a lot of these people do this stuff just out of spite. They just want to be evil and spiteful. They just want content. They don't care about this person, being a human being. They just want content. That's another thing that kills me with this. Now, ZX panel, I will give them credit. They was trying to have a serious dialogue about this subject. So I do give them credit about that. But the other channel I looked at, it was just straight up evilness. They were just trying to get even for something else. They didn't care about the kid. They didn't care about that young lady as a teenager. They didn't care. That's what I'm saying, Wild Bill. You know, when you're in high school, you're going to get that mixture. And there are some 13-year-olds in high school, believe it or not. They're 13 going on 14. But I just think y'all are blowing this out of proportion. I really do. I really do. I think a lot of these channels who are talking about this, they're blowing this out of proportion because they're not really reading deep into the subject. They're just reading the surface part. They're reading the surface part. And I hate when people put a label on someone like that because it's just sickening. It's stupid. You shouldn't do it. Especially when you don't know all the facts of the case. Just because you read something on a piece of paper, that's not all the facts. There's more to it than just what you see on paper. And trust me, I know that for a fact. I can read something that I did 20, 25 years ago, and it's not exactly the way it went down. It's not the way it went down. But the way it looked terrible on paper. It looked real terrible on paper. And that's the way it is. And you know, I look at this, I look at these people sometimes, and we need to do better when we talk about these subjects. When we talk about these serious subjects like this, we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to really have some serious dialogue. If you're going to bring this subject up, have a serious dialogue. You know, have a serious dialogue. Don't just get up here and just try to get some content off someone negative, off something negative in someone's life. Talk about it. Well, actually, fools, if you go back to the 60s and 70s, we don't even want to get into the 60s and 70s. We don't even want to get into that. Because if you get into that, you're really going to go down a dark road when we're talking about people having sex with minors. We don't even want to get into that. Because that right there is a subject you don't want to get into. You really don't. We could talk about Aretha Franklin and how she was having sex at 14, 15 years old with grown men, with men in their 20s. So we don't want to get into that topic because we can really go dark. That's a dark topic there about the 60s and the 70s. Actually, if you go back to when your grandmother and your great grandmother was coming up, you talking about they was getting married at 15 years old to men in their 20s. So that's a whole different subject there. A whole different subject. My mother got married when she was 16 years old. My mother birthed me when she was 17 years old. So back in them days, trust me, it was a whole nother world. It was a whole nother world. Back if we had today's standards back then, a lot of people would be locked up. A lot of people will be locked up. Yeah, we have evolved a lot since then, and thank God we have. And thank God we have evolved a lot since back then, because back then it was terrible. You had 13, 12-year-olds having babies and getting married and all kind of crazy stuff going on. Yeah, 16 is considered in a lot of states. There are some states that's 17 and 18 also. But there's the majority of a lot of the states are 16, especially in the South. Because I remember in the South, when I was growing up, the consent age was, I want to say 14. I want to say 14 when I was growing up. I might be wrong. No, I was born in 69. I was born in 69. My mom was born in 52. And my pops was 4 years older than my mom. Was it 4 or 3? Either 3 or 4 years older than my mom. So, but like I said, man, I just wanted to come on and touch on this subject a little bit, because I want people to understand that, we need to stop using that P word so much. We need to stop throwing it around. We need to stop trying to turn everybody into that P word, because that's nothing to play with. You're playing with people's reputation. And we're doing it on YouTube just for clicks and views. And I'm gonna bring this up, but this is not dissing ZX at all, because I don't know if it's facts. I don't know if it's not. So this is not dissing ZX, but if I recall correctly, someone said that ZX's mother was young when she had him. Now, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because ZX is actually having a conversation about King Curl and his situation. But if it's true about ZX and his father, wouldn't that be the same thing? Wouldn't that be kind of similar to what happened? And like I said, this is not to diss ZX. This is not to try to disparage him. But if it's true about his mother and his father, It's pretty much the same situation if it's true. But like I said, I'm not sure if it's true or not. Why wouldn't it be why wouldn't it be fools? Or it's 16 in England? But like I said, I'm not sure how true it is, fool. That's why I'm speaking, not really speaking on facts here. But like I said, I've just heard the rumors, so I'm not sure how true the rumors are. But if the rumors are true, why wouldn't that be the same thing? Well, I'm not no, well, I'm not saying well, I'm not saying that he had said so, but what I'm saying is the situation itself is similar. And I know it's a different generation, so I get that too. It's a whole different generation. But my thing about it is we can't be hypocrites. We can't be we can't sit here and try to judge King Curl on this situation, knowing that it could have happened to someone in his family. And it was consensual also. What's up, Kanyan? So we have to be careful. Like I said, my mother, she was 17 when she had me. She was 16, she was married at 16, you know. I'm gonna stay on for a couple more minutes. See if anybody else want to chime in on the topic. I know I don't go live too often, so my viewership is not really up. I was gonna try to hit King Curl link earlier, but he was getting ready to end his live. So that's another reason why I decided to go live. Since since he was ending here, I really couldn't speak on it over on his platform. So I decided to do it over here on mine. I remember a time when I was in high school, girls in my class would date men older than them. Not saying it's right, but it happened. Well, you know what, Kanye? I'm not even saying older men's as in over 18, 19 years old. I'm just talking about from 14 to 18, or you had some 13s mixed in the high schools also. So you talk about from 13 to 18. That's what I'm talking about. And this to the point we talking about teenagers in a mixing. Teenagers. And that's the whole thing about it. People keep forgetting we're talking about teenagers. Now, I did hear somebody earlier saying that females tend to mature faster than males, which in most cases is true. So, what are we really talking about then? If a female matures faster than a male, and we talking about teenagers, so are we really talking about an age difference here when we talking about maturity? You know, but like I said, when it comes to the law is going to be the law. Matter of fact, another story I have, I can't remember the exact age of the guy, but the girl I want to say was either 13 or 14, and I think he was 17 or 18 in the state of Georgia again. And this right here was before the Dixon case. And he got sentenced for statutory rape. And he did a few years in jail. What's up, T? And he did a few years in jail because of statutory rape. Because she wasn't of age of consent, and he was, but both of them were teenagers still, but she wasn't of age of consent. By her not being of age of consent and him being like 17, I believe, or 18, one of the two, he was guilty of statutory rape. And it's just that simple to go to prison when you talk about teenagers. Said the sweeping generation lines. Girls are more mature. Do you even know the girl's mental capacity? Um, well, at 17 years old, 18 years old, are you really thinking about her mental capacity? If she's not to the point where it's obvious that she has some mental issues, but do you really know it? Because do you have the mental capacity to pretty much judge hers? So it's 13, 17, so it's 4 years difference. So T, let me ask you a question, T, because I think you just came in. So what is your thought on that 13, 17, that 4 year difference in age? But also, I thought King Curl said he was 16 though. All right. All right. So so let me ask you a question, T. T, you my age, so it's a little different. You my age. So in high school, in high school, when in high school, when you was a senior in high school, did you look at freshmen differently than you looked at a junior? All right, I take you for your word on that, fools. If he said he was 17, he was 17. But T, this is what I said about the law. This is what I said about the law. Because like I said, I think you just came in, so you didn't hear me talk about the Marcus Dixon case, where Marcus Dixon was 18 and the female that he had consensual sex with was 15. But the state law in Georgia made that a felony charge and said that he was guilty of aggravated child molestation. Now, Georgia went back and changed the law because they realized that law was too harsh for two teenagers having consensual sex. So it went back and changed that law. So, do you think all laws are made equal to fit the crime? But in this case, yeah, and you're right. But in this case, they was trying to give him 15 years for aggravated child molestation, which was a felony charge, because he had consensual sex with a 15-year-old. Now, do you think that fitted the crime? Two high school, two high school teenagers having sex. He deserved 15 years for that. In the state of Georgia, when they said consensual sex, that means he didn't force her. The word you're looking for is statutory rape. That means that she was underage to the point where she couldn't consent. She couldn't consent. I'm talking about consensual sex where they're saying that she wasn't forced. And see, that's what I'm saying. That's why they went back and changed the law, because they realized, and they changed the law to the fact that they're saying that if you're 18 years old and there's a 3 year age difference, it's not aggravated molestation. It's just statutory rape, which is a misdemeanor. But like I said, I get what you guys are saying. about the age difference, 17, 13. I get that part. But the only thing I'm saying is teenagers gonna do what teenagers do. We always once teenagers at one point in time. We all thought with our small head, and we didn't think with our big head when it came to being interacting with other teenagers. We when you was a high school senior, you wasn't studying about if that freshman was 14 or 15 years old. Yeah, but the law is not always right, though, fools. The law is not always right. Also, I'm asking another question. Also, does it make a difference that they went on to be married later on down the road? Does that play any part into this? Because it seemed like there was no hostility. It seemed like it was all consensual, you know. Oh, and Vic, I know you mean well, my brother, but when you was over there on ZX panel, man, some things you got to take serious. You really got to take it serious sometimes, Vic. And I know you was trying to blow it off and you was trying to be funny in the whole nine, but sometimes, man, you got to take some things serious because they was having a serious dialogue about the situation. But sometimes you got to take things serious because they was really hammering your brother over there. They was killing him over there, and you was all over the place. No, you were talking about your crime. You were talking about Georgia, and come on, man, you can't do that. You got to take some things serious, man. Is it ad that he would marry her after her mother getting him locked up for being with her daughter? Take it seriously. Take it seriously slow. No, I get the laws. I understand most laws saying you have to be 16 years old in order to consent to sex. I get that part. I'm not I'm not ignoring that part, but what I'm saying is teenagers are gonna do what teenagers want to do. That's the only thing I'm saying. Teenagers are going not going most teenagers are not going to follow the law when it comes to the law saying that you cannot consent to sex until you're 16. That's my point. So you have to factor all that stuff in. And like I say, in Georgia, it's a misdemeanor. You know, but I get it. I'm not ignoring that fact. You know, and like I said, all laws, to me personally, some laws should be laws. That's just me. And when I think about teenagers, I'm not talking about old grown men messing with kids. I'm talking about teenagers. When I think about teenagers interacting within themselves, I just I don't know. I just think back when I was a teenager and what I was doing when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, what I wanted to do, who I was interacting with. When I was interacting with my high school friends, when I was interacting with the high school girls I was in school with, I wasn't thinking about how old she was. I didn't care if she was a freshman in high school. I didn't care if she was a senior in high school because I wasn't thinking like that. That's my only point. Teenagers don't think about an age. When they see a high school teenage, they don't think about nothing else. Now, it'd be different. It's a person with 10, 11, and 12, and they wasn't in school. They wasn't in high school, or whatever. I get that point. But when you're in high school, you don't think like that. You don't think. So a lot of these people are not going to admit it. But a lot of these females, a lot of these guys are not going to admit that when they was in high school, there was a freshman in high school. They might have been 13, 14 years old, a freshman in high school. They're not going to admit that they had sex with somebody who was a senior or a junior in high school. They're not going to admit it. But it happens consistently. They're not going to admit it. Because the only thing they seen was they was teenagers. Now, when the law get involved, it's a whole different situation. When you get caught up with the law, yes, it changes things. Bottom line. But you know what? ZX. I told myself I would never ever hit his panel, and I would never ever invite him to my channel, which I know he would never come over here because I don't have no numbers, because he loved numbers. But if I could debate him on this subject, I would be willing to debate him. Because I don't think ZX, I think ZX is really just trying to get numbers off this. It was the furthest thing from your mind at 13. I understand. Not all 13s, not all 14, 15-year-olds think about sex. I understand that. I get that. But my thing is, I just think that, we just need to think and really look at the subject, really. Because I heard some people on ZX channel, and they were just like, they wasn't even trying to really debate the situation. They were just going along with whatever the narrative was. And like I said, Vic was over there, but Vic was lost in the sauce. He was very lost in the sauce. He was the wrong person over there trying to debate that issue. He didn't have no legitimate points. He's bringing up his, thing. ZX charged Lurker $25 to play his video with Vic from your. Are you serious? Lurker paid him $25. Are you serious? Are you serious? What was the topic, T? It was the same thing they talked about today? King Curl? What's up, Meow Meow? He charged $25 to Lurker. Are you serious? Lurker, you paid $25 to play that man's content? Ain't no damn way I would pay him $25 to play that content. I would make my own content. What's up, B-Dug? Are you serious? Lurker, what are you thinking about? Why are you paying this dude? Ain't no freaking way I'll pay that dude. You know what? Honestly, I don't know why people give ZX so much respect. The dude don't deserve no respect. When y'all go over there and show that dude love, only thing y'all doing is making his head feel even larger than what it is. That is crazy. Yeah, Kanyan, I was surprised. Yeah, when I first seen Lurker on his platform, I was a little thrown off by that too. I was like, Lurker's over here? Serious? Lurker? She's on ZX panel? Matter of fact, when I was watching him earlier, he was trying to get her to come up there onto the panel to talk about the topic. Paying 25 cents. I will pay him no attention when I'll pay him. I don't like I said, I don't see why people even go over there. The dude, he's phony because she denounced Vic. People emotional. Well, you know what? My thing is anybody who denounced Vic, honestly, there is no reason to denounce Vic because Vic is just Vic. Vic is not going to be serious about no topic. No matter what the topic is, Vic is not going to be serious. So I don't know why people even want to go over there and say Vic was wrong about this, Vic was wrong about that. Because we all seen Vic. We all know how Vic flipped back and forth. He'll be on your side one day, then he'll be on somebody else's side the next day, and he go back and forth. And it's just Vic being Vic. So there is no reason to denounce Vic. Because Vic is going to be Vic. And actually, that's why he had Vic's name in it in the title today to get views. If you notice, did y'all really notice something about ZX? If you went on there and watched Nikki channel, her last few videos, she was flaming ZX. She was flaming him. And guess what he was doing? He was talking about MBK. And MBK wasn't even talking about him anymore. Right, B-Dub. His brain do not work like regular people. That's why I'm like, why people even take Vic serious? There is nothing to denounce about Vic. Vic is going to be Vic. Vic is a funny guy. He like to clown around. Like he said, he's the king of trolls, which we all know, that's just in his head. But Vic is Vic. He's cool. He's funny to be around. And he's easy to laugh at. Because he do a lot of clownish stuff. So I don't know why ZX and that panel was taking Vic serious. Okay, I'm listening to Vic. I'm like, Vic is all over the place. Vic is complaining. He's comparing his crime to what they charged King Curl to. Then he's talking about Georgia this, Georgia. I'm like, what Vic talking about here? It's crazy. It's crazy. Vic is, but it is what it is. Right, fools. Vic, he don't care. I see these girls, these females, they will say, oh, Vic, you were supporting this person over here. You were supporting that person over there. Now you're trying to support me. Well, that's the routine. That's Vic MO. He's going to lead with the winning. He's going to be on the winning side. If you're winning, that's what side he's going to be on. It says nothing. There's a lot of words that says nothing. But like I said, I just can't get into using this P word on everybody. And like I said, King Curl, he's cool to me. He haven't never did anything to me, and I'm not defending him because I like him as a person. I'm over here talking about this because I just feel like, we don't know the full story. We know what we see on paper and what people are saying, but we don't know the full story. Myself personally, I'm not gonna put the P word on him. I don't like people putting the P word on me. And I'm not gonna put the P word on him because he was a teenager. And I don't know exactly what happened. I know, teenagers do teenager stuff. And I know a lot of people might not understand what I'm saying, but it is with me. I know fools talking about the law. Yes, the law says you can't have sex. I get that, but as a teenager, I've seen a lot of teenagers who had sex. I've seen a lot of teenage mothers at 15, 14, 15 years old. I've seen a lot of mothers who got pregnant when they wasn't able to have consensual sex by law, but they still got pregnant, What's up, Alpha? And like I said, there's a story that came out about 4 or 5 months ago, maybe longer, when there's another content creator who got someone pregnant at 14 years old, and everybody made a big deal about it for a couple months. Then it went away. It just went away. The person got the person pregnant. That person was 17, I believe. The person who got pregnant was 14. She had the baby when she was 15, and it just went away. People stopped talking about it. And y'all know this content creator very well. So Alpha know who I'm talking about. Alpha know exactly who I'm talking about. People still talking about that. Well, I don't really watch him anymore, so I'm not sure. So people still talking about it. But Alpha know exactly who I'm talking about. But the thing about with him, the law didn't get involved. There was no law involved, even though the law was broken. But there was no law involved with that situation. So that is an open question, T. Are you saying if my 13-year-old daughter had sex with someone 15, 16, or 17? Yes, I'll be upset. I'll be upset because I want my daughter to be pure. Now, if my daughter had sex with someone 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I'm ready to kill somebody. I'm ready to hurt somebody. I'm just being real. But if she's having sex with somebody 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to be highly upset. But my thing about it is, what can I do? They're teenagers. They're teenagers. And it's just my honest answer. And meow, that's what I was saying earlier also. Like I said, I'm not sure how true that story is. I'm not sure how true that story is, but like I said, ZX mother was 14 and his father was, I guess, 16, 17 years old. You know, is that a difference? So he said himself that she was 14, but how old was his father though? Well, fool, it has a lot to do with it because basically ZX is a product of a teenage mother around the same age we're talking about. So to me, it does have something to do with it. Especially when you're sitting over there trying to make this man out to be a pedophile for doing the exact same thing that your mother did and your father did. But like I said, I'm not sure. Do anybody know how old his father was? Seriously, what does it have to do with it? But what I'm saying, ADOS, is if he's gonna sit here and criticize another man and what he did, don't you think it's kind of hypocritical that you're not criticizing your father for what he did? That's my point. You know, he's not talking about his situation with his mother and his father, but he's talking about another man's situation. So don't you think it's best to talk about your own family situation first? That's my point. You know, you can't talk about teenage moms. You can't talk about mothers, unfit mothers, when you're not talking about your own situation. Well, he shouldn't have to, but at the same time, he shouldn't be talking about no one else then. What gives him the right to talk about someone else's issues if he's not going to talk about his own issues? Like I said, I see him talk about my mom. My mom was a teenage mother. My mom got married when she was 16 years old. So in a way that influenced the way I think today. It influenced my thought process a little bit because my mom was a teenage mother. My mom was having sex when she was 15, I guess when she was 15, 16 years old, because she got pregnant when she was 16. When she got married when she was 16, at least. But I'm guessing that she was having sex before she got married. Yeah, times have changed. You're right. Times have changed. We don't look upon things like we did back in the day when my mom was coming up. But giving the right to First Amendment. That's a good one, fool. That's a good one. I can dig that. I can dig that. That's good. I can get that one. That was a good one. But still, he shouldn't be calling no one else the P word if he's not going to talk about his mother and father situation. You know, that's just the bottom line to that. Just like for oh, but you know what though? I am so happy to see that the black sector is popping today, though. You know, because I get so sick and tired of watching the beef sector. You know, it's like this subject right here brought the black sector back to life today. It's like, yeah, finally, we back over here in our own sector. We're not dealing with the beef sector. Even though it's negative that brought everybody back over here to talk about this, but it's good to see everybody talk about the subject though. Armando, so Armando is still on his neck, huh? I know Armando was talking about him all the time, so he's still on his neck. One needs another week. Yeah, it's an honest subject, Super. It's a very, like I said, it's a real subject, and like I say, I think people need to really just look at it and be honest about it, though. You know, stop being, crazy. Oh, Darrell. Oh, y'all still talking about that dude? Oh, you know what, Apple? I haven't looked at John Mondo. I haven't watched none of that crap lately. It's been a while since I watched any of those channels. And what time it is? Well, guys, I appreciate y'all coming through, man. I did an hour, so I guess that's good enough. Like I said, stop putting that P word label on everybody. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to try to put that label on somebody, at least do your research, at least dive deep into the subject. Don't just look at the surface and say, this guy did this guy did that. Dive deep into the subject, dive beneath the surface and get all the detail. You know, people like Diva Tomboy, they gonna get out there and do what they do for content. You know, people like ZX, they gonna take on this for content. They're not gonna dive deep. They're not gonna really have serious conversation about this stuff. So, but my thing about it is stop putting the P word on everybody. That word can get someone killed. Seriously, it can get someone hurt. And people need to stop it. So until my next live, hopefully soon, y'all have a good day and enjoy your day, man. And stay safe in those YouTube streets out there. No. Hey, ADOS, ADOS, you're right. Before I leave, you're right, ADOS. 13 is too young to be a parent, and 13 is too young to have sex. No exceptions. You are most definitely right. Also, 14 is too young, 15 is too young, 16 is too young, and 17 is too young. In my eye, all of it is too young. But we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world where teenagers are going to be teenagers. And we all was once teenagers, and we all made mistakes as teenagers. Some of us got away with our mistakes, and some of us didn't. There was teenage mothers, there was teenage fathers. So we have to understand that teenagers are going to make mistakes. They don't think the way a mature adult thinks. Then again, we got a lot of mature adults who think like teenagers. To be honest with you. But well, before I leave though, thank you, Adolf, because you just kept me here for a couple more minutes. We need to understand a lot of people who speaks on these topics are speaking from experience. They are speaking from experience. So when you hear someone like ZX talk about unfit mothers, who talk about this ghetto mentality, they're speaking from experience. They have seen this. They have experienced this. So you have to give them a little credit for trying to spread the word, even though they're not going to admit it, but they're speaking from experience. And we have to understand that whole concept, that these people are telling you their life story indirectly. They really are. So when you hear these stories about unfit mothers, they're speaking on their own life. They're speaking on their own hurt. Some of these people are hurt because of their past. They are hurt. They don't want to admit it, but they really are hurt. Be honest with you. Hey, I told you, man, and I'm gonna say this right here also. A man who came to YouTube, who had so much going for himself, just to lose so much. But at the same time, he'll sit on his platform and tell you what you're doing wrong, and tell you how disgusting of a person you are, tell you how much of an unfit mother or unfit father you are, tell you that you're less than a man because you're not taking care of your business, tell you so much negativity about yourself and your community that he forgets what his life has given him over the last 4 years or last 5 years. You understand? You see what's going on here? It's called deflecting from your real life, your own life, to try to find fault in other people's life to cover up your lack of. That's what people do on YouTube. They want you to deflect from their life and look at someone else's life. That's why we talk about unfit mothers. That's why we talk about bad parents when it comes to fathers, the lack of fatherhood in the community. Just understand that. Just understand. When y'all listen to these people, listen very closely. They're talking about themselves indirectly. They're talking about their fair you indirectly. Think about that. And I'm going to end it on that note. So until next time, y'all have a great day.